Hi, I'm Demián, and this week I'm reviewing. Now before we start off, as always, I just want to take a quick second to remind you guys to make sure you hit that like button if you liked today's video, and if you're new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button as well for more new movie related content weekly. But without further ado, let's jump into today's film. Chaos Walking was directed by Doug Liman, and it stars Tom Holland, Daisy Ridley, Mads Mikkelsen, Demián Bichir, Cynthia Erivo, Nick Jonas, and David Oyelowo. Based on the novel The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness, the film is set in a not-too-distant future on a newly colonized and mysterious planet, and revolves around a kid named Todd, played by Holland, whose life is turned upside down when he meets a young woman named Viola, who's crash-landed on his planet from outer space. Now, additionally, it is important to mention that 1. Todd believes that his colony is the last remaining colony on the planet. 2. All of the women were killed off a long time ago, and it is explained exactly what happened in the film, so I'm not going to go too much into that if you want to see it. So the main thing you should take away from that is that the colony that Todd is a part of only consists of men. And 3, and this is probably the most important thing you should know going into this film, for some reason, all of the thoughts of all the men on this planet are projected out loud. So this colony, filled with nothing but men, has literally no privacy. Everybody knows exactly what everybody else is thinking all of the time. So you can imagine why a mysterious woman showing up would probably shake things up. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm going to tell you right off the bat that I did not enjoy this movie. And it has nothing to do with the direction or the writing or the acting or any of that, but we will talk about all of that stuff, trust me. It just has to do with the fact that this film is very exhausting. As you can see, there is a lot of world building happening here. There's so much lore and so many rules established that it's very obvious the filmmakers wanted to start a franchise with this. But it's literally too much to keep track of, and it's incredibly inconsistent. For instance, some men can hide their thoughts, others can project them as full-fledged holograms, very similar to like what Luke did at the very end of The Last Jedi. Sometimes the noise, which is what this thing is called that the men experience, is perceived as either a strength or an ability. Other times it's perceived as a weakness or an illness, but it's never explained why or how or what makes that difference. It only ever seems to be whatever the filmmakers want it to be when it's convenient to the story. The most frustrating thing about the noise, though, is that the audience never finds out where it came from, or how it happened, or why it specifically targets men. The film just leaves the audience hanging with that one. The noise isn't all bad, though, because it is responsible for some of the film's better moments, and even some of the funnier ones, specifically when certain characters get caught acting tough even though they're scared, or lying about how they feel. And I would have liked to see more of that, because in those moments I felt like that was when the film was being the most honest with the audience. That's what human beings do. We say we're fine when we're not, and we say we don't care when we do. And I'm not saying that the film isn't realistic, it's just that it's not honest, and at the same time it requires the audience to suspend their disbelief way too much. And probably the best example I can think of that is just the simple casting of Tom Holland. Now, I like Tom Holland as much as the next person, however, I think he's terribly miscast in this film. In it, he plays a boy, and I'm not saying that because, he's a younger character compared to a lot of the older men in his colony. He's literally a boy. Everybody refers to him as the boy. He even acts like a boy. And once again, I like Tom Holland a lot, but I think that the Peter Parker charm really only goes so far, and it should probably just stay in the Spider-Man films. But he's not alone in being miscast. Nick Jonas looks like he plays such a prominent character in this film in the trailer. However, he's really only just playing a dude on a horse. Again, David Oyelowo plays an evil preacher in the film, and I'm not saying that he's bad as the character, but he's really hard to buy as the character, especially knowing him as Dr. Martin Luther King from Ava DuVernay's Selma. Unsurprisingly, Mads Mikkelsen is the villain in the film, and for once he actually doesn't feel like the villain, though, which I found to be strange. In fact, I think there's an argument to be had that the god-awful cowboy hat that they put on his head for a majority of this film is worse than he is. Obviously, Mikkelsen is capable of playing bad. We've seen him as a villain multiple times prior to this. And I'm not saying he's phoning it in here either, but his villain really doesn't seem like a major threat until like the last 10 minutes of the film. Don't get me wrong, there were a couple of things that I did like about this film. If I'm being honest, I admired the visual effects quite a bit. I thought that the depiction of everyone's thoughts was not only well done, but it looked really cool too, and it honestly explains why the studio waited so long to release this film. I think they're hoping to recoup as much money that they spent on the visual effects budget as possible, which makes sense. I also like the film's writing. Granted, its plot and its characters aren't necessarily great or compelling. However, at the film's core lies a pretty decent message about human connection. And speaking of connections, I really liked seeing Daisy and Tom together. I think their chemistry is one of the main things that makes this film so easy to digest. But still, as a whole, I did not like this film as much as I hoped I would. Without a doubt, Doug Liman does a really good job at establishing a similar look, feel, and even overall tone to some of the other young adult franchise adaptations that came out prior. But this one is just too ambitious. What had the potential to be a solid sci-fi and young adult franchise will most likely just end up being a one-off wannabe. In short, Chaos Walking is just pure chaos. And for that, I'm going to give this film 1.5 stars. I know, kind of harsh, but feel free to be the judge for yourself when Chaos Walking comes out in theaters this Friday. In the meantime, I want to thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day to view this video. It really does mean the world to me. And once again, if you like this video, please make sure to hit that like button. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button as well for more new movie-related content weekly. Now, if you happen to see this movie already, if you loved it, if you hated it, let me know what you thought about it down below in the comment section. I look forward to reading and responding to all of your thoughts as always. But that's pretty much all the time that I have for you guys today. I do have a few more videos on the way this week, and I even have a couple of collaborations coming out next week, so stay tuned for those. But in the meantime, I'm just going to head back to work. So, until next time, I'm Dempsey Pallot. Take care.